Nurse answers. 3 a.m., call by mistake. Single dad's door changes everything. She heard the baby crying before she even knocked. It was raw, high-pitched, trembling, the kind of wail that sliced through quiet like glass on skin. Elena Patel's fingers froze inches from the dark wooden door. Her breath caught in her throat. This wasn't supposed to happen. She'd answered the phone in a fog. 3:04 a.m., her body half asleep after a brutal double shift at the hospice center. The call had been quick, male voice, frantic. "She's burning up, I don't know what to do, please." He'd said an address, no name, no hospital ID, no confirmation, and she didn't ask questions. She just went, not because it made sense, because it didn't. But instinct ran deeper than reason when you'd seen as many people break as Elena had. And now, standing outside, a mansion in the hills, white stucco, black gates, no neighbors in sight, she realized how insane this was. What was she doing here? She glanced down at the message on her phone again. A number she didn't recognize, a call she was never supposed to answer. And yet, here she was. The baby's scream behind the door shifted, no longer just fear. Now it sounded desperate. She knocked, and the door opened, like someone had been standing on the other side, waiting. The man who answered didn't look like he belonged in this kind of panic. He looked like he belonged on the cover of a business magazine. Barefoot, tall, built, wearing sweatpants and a soaked-through grey tee. His chest was heaving, his eyes, dark, hollow, panicked, locked onto hers like a lifeline. In his arms was a baby girl, maybe 6 months old, burning red with fever, her fists clenched, eyes half shut. "You came," he said, voice cracking. Elena didn't waste time. "I'm a nurse," she said, stepping past him. "Let me see her." He blinked, confused, but let her take the baby into her arms without protest. Her skin was blazing hot, her breathing shallow, a thin sheen of sweat coated her hairline. "No rash," Elena murmured. "She's not convulsing. Any vomiting?" The man hovered behind her, speechless. "I need a thermometer, a wet cloth, and somewhere to lay her down," she said, her tone snapping him into action. "Has she had any fluids?" "Not since yesterday," he muttered, rubbing his face. "She wouldn't eat." Eleanor moved fast, settling the baby on a blanket in the living room. The fever was high, dangerously high. She looked around. No signs of baby care, no bottles, no formula, not even a pacifier. Just a spotless, cold house, granite floors, a sleek staircase, the kind of house that had been staged by a magazine. The baby whimpered, fingers reaching toward Elena's arm. Elena gently stroked her tiny back. "What's her name?" He hesitated. "Maya." "How long has she been like this?" "Since maybe 8 last night." She felt warm. Then she just started crying non-stop. I tried giving her Tylenol, but she spit it out. I didn't know what to do. "Why didn't you take her to the hospital?" He tensed. "Because I just got her back." Elena froze. "What do you mean, back?" His hands curled into fists. "CPS. They took her. Wrong report. Accused me of neglect. I fought it, showed evidence, lawyers got involved. Judge gave her back to me yesterday." "Yesterday?" Elena's brows furrowed. "And you have no formula? No baby supplies? What about her pediatrician?" "I haven't had time," he said defensively. "I was in court until 6 p.m. Then I drove 3 hours to the foster home. I thought she'd be okay. I just didn't think it would go this bad, this fast." He sounded overwhelmed, but something wasn't right. Elena rose slowly, cradling Maya in her arms. "Who did you think you were calling?" His face went blank. "The agency. They sent a night nurse last time. I thought I still had the number saved. I guess I didn't." "You called me by mistake," Elena said, realizing it aloud. He swallowed. I'm sorry. I panicked. I didn't know what else to do." Elena stared at him. Her gut twisted. She'd seen desperate parents. She'd also seen liars, manipulators, smooth talkers who wore panic like a costume. And then she saw It's a small black monitor on a shelf, barely noticeable unless you were looking, blinking red. A nanny cam, recording them. Is someone else here? She asked. His head jerked. No! Why? You have a camera pointed at us. I wanted proof, he said quickly, in case something went wrong. Proof of what? Her voice sharpened. He didn't answer. Maya cried again, a ragged, hoarse cry that made Elena's stomach drop. She needs help, real help, she said. I'm taking her to the ER. But as she turned, he blocked the door. You can't. She's burning up. They'll take her from me again. They'll assume I did something. I can't lose her. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. Are you her biological father? Silence. Then he said quietly, No. That changed everything. Who is she to you? Eleanor asked. Her heart was pounding. I was supposed to adopt her. Her birth mother. She changed her mind after the birth. But I already had her for 6 months. I raised her. Then they took her back. Eleanor's mouth was dry. So, what happened next? She came back into the system, he said. The mother disappeared. CPS called me again. Last week, said I could have custody until the court decided, but everything's moving slow, and now this. He sounded like a man unraveling. Or a man lying with perfect control. Elena rocked Maya gently, watching his every move. You shouldn't be alone with her, she said. Not if she's sick. Not if she's this fragile. I know, he whispered. I was just scared. She opened her mouth to speak, and then came the sound. Cracked glass breaking from the back of the house. Elena froze. What was that? She asked, voice low. The man's face turned white. He ran to a drawer and pulled something out, a gun. Elena, he said, eyes wild now, you need to hide. Take Maya, go to the nursery, lock the door. Who's here? She asked, backing up. What's going on? They're not here for you, he said. They're here for her. Elena's blood ran cold. You said you got her back legally. I did, he said, but someone doesn't want me to have her. Someone dangerous. Please go. Another crash. Closer now. Heavy boots on tile. Elena didn't wait. She ran upstairs, holding Maya tight, heart slamming against her ribs. The hallway stretched long and unfamiliar. She threw open a door. The nursery. It was the only room that looked lived in. A crib. Soft toys, nightlight glowing. She locked the door behind her, shoved a rocking chair against it and ducked behind a dresser, cradling Maya against her chest. Footsteps thundered below. She whispered softly, rocking the baby. It's okay. You're okay. I've got you. I'm here. But her own voice was shaking. Who was this man? Who was after this baby? And what kind of story had she just walked into? Then a muffled bang, another, a scream, then silence. Elena held her breath, and then a knock, soft, on the nursery door. Elena, the man whispered. She didn't answer. Elena, it's over. He's gone. Who was he? She called, her voice shaking. I don't know. Don't lie to me! I'm not, he said. I swear I didn't know who he was. He had a badge, said he was from CPS, but CPS doesn't come at 3 in the morning with a gun. More silence. Then, open the door, please. Elena hesitated. Then, slowly she moved the chair. He stood there, pale, shaking, bleeding from a gash on his arm. He tried to take her, he said. Didn't even ask questions, just grabbed her stuff and said she was being removed immediately. I stopped him. I think I broke his nose. He ran. Eleanor looked him dead in the eye. I need to call the police. You can't. I will. Elena, please. But she was already dialing, and that's when Maya let out a cough. Wet. Rattling. Elena felt her entire body freeze. This wasn't just fever. This was infection. We don't have time, she said, lifting Maya again. She needs help now. The man looked torn, fear and love wrestling inside him. I'll drive you, he said, but we tell them I'm her guardian. You're just a nurse. Don't mention the gun or the break-in. You're asking me to lie. I'm asking you to help me keep her alive. Elena stared at him, and despite every warning bell ringing in her head, she said, Grab the car keys. Nurse answers 3 a.m. Call by mistake. Single dad's door changes everything. Elena gripped the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles whitened. The baby was asleep on her lap, the small, fragile body burning against her arms like a live coal. Next, to her, the man, who still hadn't told her his name, was silent, staring out the windshield into the dark, twisting road. The city lights were a blur behind them. "Where are we going?" Eleanor finally asked. "To the hospital," he said, voice rough, "but not the one downtown. Too public, too many questions." She glanced sideways. "You want me to take Maya to a private hospital?" He nodded. "Exactly. Somewhere they can't just take her away again." Elena's heart sank. This wasn't just about saving a sick baby. This was about survival, about hiding, about fighting. A system that had already ripped this child from a man who loved her. She wanted to ask his name, his story. How did this happen? But the silence between them stretched thick, heavy with secrets. Instead, she focused on Maya. The baby stirred, tiny, hands twitching. Elena reached for the small bottle of water she'd found earlier, but remembered it was just plain water. Not enough. Maya coughed, a harsh, rattling sound that made Elena's stomach twist again. "We need to get her warm," Elena said softly, pulling her jacket over the baby's thin body. "Fever this high can cause seizures. I'm going to need to check her oxygen levels as soon as we're at the hospital." He exhaled slowly. "She's not mine by blood," he finally said. Elena looked at him sharply. "You said that before. So what are you to her?" "I'm her guardian, the only family she's ever known." "Family isn't just blood," Elena said quietly, trying to read him. He met her eyes. "She calls me Dad." The baby cried again. Elena's hands trembled as she wiped sweat from Maya's forehead. "Why did CPS take her?" she asked. He hesitated. "Neglect, they said," he whispered. "But it was a setup. Someone wanted me out of the picture. Someone didn't want me to have her." Elena swallowed. "Who?" He shook his head. "I don't know." The car's tires crunched over gravel as they pulled into the driveway of a sleek hospital with a glowing sign, "St. Jude's Children's Clinic." "This is it," he said. Elena carried Maya inside, her senses sharp, alert to every whisper, every glance. The lobby was quiet, almost too quiet for 3:30 a.m. A nurse glanced up at them. "You have an appointment?" "No," Elena said. "It's an emergency." The nurse nodded, already reaching for a phone. Elena held her breath. Then a tall woman in scrubs appeared, her eyes sharp and tired. "I'm Nurse Patel," Elena said, giving a quick professional nod. "This baby has a high fever and respiratory distress. We need immediate assessment." The nurse's face tightened. "Follow me." They were led down narrow halls, bright fluorescent lights humming overhead. Elena could feel the tension in the man beside her. His jaw clenched, his eyes flickered toward every door. At the pediatric triage room, a doctor waited. "Vitals?" the doctor asked. Elena quickly gave the details she'd gathered. "Fever 103.4, shallow breathing. Cough is wet and rattling." The doctor frowned, listening to Maya's chest through a stethoscope. "Sounds like bronchitis or pneumonia. We'll do a chest x-ray and blood tests." Elena glanced at the man. "Will they take her into custody if they find an infection?" he whispered. The doctor shook her head. "We treat children regardless of custody status." Relief softened the man's face for a moment. Elena stayed. With Maya as the tests were run, the baby was hooked to monitors. Oxygen levels fluctuated dangerously low. Tension built inside Elena's chest. The man sat nearby, arms crossed. Suddenly his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his face drained of color. "What is it?" Elena asked. "Text," he muttered. "From someone called M." Elena's pulse quickened. He showed her the message. "She's here. Don't let them take her. We're coming." "Who's M?" Elena asked sharply. He looked away. A friend, someone who's been helping me, but now, footsteps outside the door. Two men in dark suits entered, flashing badges. Social services, one said. We're here to conduct a welfare check. Eleanor's heart dropped. The man stood. I'm her legal guardian. The agents exchanged glances. We need to speak with you and see the child. Eleanor held Maya protectively. Is this standard procedure? She asked the doctor. Unusual at this hour, but they have authority to intervene if there are concerns. The man's face hardened. We're not leaving without her. The agents insisted on examining Maya. One pulled out a syringe. Is this necessary? Elena asked. Yes, to take blood samples, the agent said curtly. The man's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Elena watched Maya's fragile body. She felt a cold rage rising. They finished quickly. The agents turned to the man. You'll have to come with us to discuss custody further. He nodded reluctantly. Elena followed silently. Down the hall in a small interview room, the man's voice dropped to a desperate whisper. They're planning to take her away. Permanently. Why? Elena asked. You're her guardian. She's sick and needs care, not separation. They say I'm unstable, that I can't care for her properly. Elena looked at him. Have you been violent? No, he said firmly. But they don't see the fights I've won, the sleepless nights, the threats. Tears shimmered in his eyes. Elena's own throat tightened. Suddenly, the door burst open. A nurse ran in, breathless. There's been an emergency, she said. Maya's oxygen dropped dangerously low. We need to get her to the ICU. Elena grabbed the baby's tiny hand. Let's go. The ICU was cold and clinical. Machines beeped softly. Monitors cast eerie glows. Maya lay on a bed, tubes snaking from her fragile body. Elena sat beside her, feeling helpless but determined. The man stood near the window, restless. After what felt like hours, the doctor returned. She has pneumonia, the doctor said gravely. Severe but treatable. She needs antibiotics, oxygen support, and close monitoring. Elena nodded, relief mixing with fear. We'll keep her here for at least 48 hours, the doctor continued. Given the custody situation, we'll notify social services. The man's face darkened. Elena reached out. I'll stay with her. I'll advocate for her. He gave a faint, grateful smile. But Elena knew the fight was far from over. Late. That night, Elena sat in the hospital chair, Maya asleep in the crib nearby. Her mind raced with questions. Who was this man? Why was he risking everything for this child? And who was M, the mysterious ally warning of danger? Then her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Trust no one. They're watching. Eleanor's blood ran cold. She glanced at the sleeping baby. This was no ordinary emergency. It was a battle for survival, and she was right in the middle. Nurse answers, 3 a.m. Call by mistake, single dad's door, changes everything. Elena's eyes snapped open in the dim hospital room. The steady beep of the heart monitor was the only sound. Beside her, Maya slept, her chest rising and falling in slow, shallow breaths. The faint scent of antiseptic and baby powder hung in the air. She rubbed her tired eyes and checked her phone. Again, no new messages, but the warning from the night before. Trust no one. They're watching. Lingered in her mind like a shadow. Who was watching and why? Her thoughts were interrupted by a quiet knock on the door. The man, her mysterious companion, the baby's guardian, stepped inside, his face drawn but determined. Elena, he said softly, I'm sorry for dragging you into this. I know it's dangerous. She shook her head. I'm here, and Maya needs us both. He glanced at the baby, then back to her. I haven't told you everything. I owe you the truth. Elena braced herself. I'm listening. He sat down, running a hand through his dark hair. My name's David. Elena nodded, urging him to continue. David took a deep breath. Maya's mother. She died 2 years ago. Complications during childbirth. I became her legal guardian after that. Elena's heart softened. That must have been hard. It was, David said. I never planned to be a single dad. I was a CEO, successful, busy, but when she was born, everything changed. He looked away, voice cracking slightly. Maya's mother's family. They never approved of me, rich, powerful. They wanted custody of Maya. They thought I wasn't fit. Elena frowned. So, CPS is involved because of the family? David nodded grimly. They used every trick to make me look unstable. False. Accusations, staged incidents. Elena's jaw tightened. And M? Who is that? David hesitated. She's a whistleblower, someone who saw what the family did, evidence they planted. She's been helping me stay ahead of them. Elena's mind raced. Why didn't you go to the police? David's eyes flashed with pain. They're on the family's side. They won't listen. A sudden beep from the monitor pulled their attention back to Maya. The baby's oxygen. Levels dropped again. Nurse Patel rushed in, urgency in her eyes. Her oxygen saturation is falling fast. We need to increase her support. Elena helped adjust the mask on Maya's face. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the monitor stabilized. Elena let out a shaky breath. David looked at her, his expression unreadable. We have to get Maya out. Of here, he said. If they keep her here, they'll find a reason to take her. Elena swallowed hard. But where can we go? We can't just run from a hospital. David pulled out a small envelope from his jacket. This is a place, a safe house. M's idea. Elena took it, her hands trembling. The address was scrawled. Inside, they left the hospital in the early dawn, the city still cloaked in shadows. David drove in tense silence, glancing nervously at every passing car. Elena sat beside him, clutching Maya close. Suddenly, headlights appeared behind them, fast, relentless. David's eyes widened. They're following us! Without hesitation, he sped up. The car behind accelerated too. Elena's heart pounded. Call the police! She urged, pulling out her phone. David grabbed it, shaking his head. No signal here. They've blocked the area. The chase was on. David took sharp turns, weaving through narrow streets, desperate to lose the pursuers. Elena held Maya tighter as the car lurched over potholes. Finally, David spotted a narrow alley and veered in. The pursuing car skidded but kept up. Elena's breath caught as the alley narrowed to a dead end. David slammed the brakes. The car behind stopped abruptly. Two men stepped out, faces hidden under baseball caps. David's voice was low but fierce. Stay in the car! Elena nodded, panic rising. The men approached the car, their footsteps echoing ominously. David opened his door and stepped out. Who are you? One man demanded. Private security, the other said, flashing a badge. David's eyes narrowed. This is harassment. Leave now. The men ignored him. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from M. New plan. Meet me at the pier in 30 minutes. Trust no one else. David showed the message to the men. They sneered. Looks like your friends abandoned you, one said. Suddenly, David lunged. A brutal fight erupted in the narrow alley. Elena covered her eyes, trembling. Maya cried out, tiny but fierce. David fought with desperation, landing punches, blocking blows. Finally, the men backed off, disappearing into the night. David collapsed back into the car, panting. Elena's hands shook. Are you okay? She asked. He nodded, wiping blood from his lip. We need to move. Now. They reached the pier just as the sun began to rise. A lone figure waited. M. She was a woman in her early 30s. Sharp-eyed, dressed in black. Thank God you're alive, she said, pulling them into a shadowed boat. Who are you? Elena asked. I'm the one trying to take down the family behind this mess. David grimaced. It's worse than you. You think? M glanced at Maya. We have limited time. They'll send more after you. Elena's stomach churned. What's the plan? M handed David a small USB drive. Evidence. Proof of the family's crimes, their corruption, everything they've done to destroy you. David's eyes burned with hope. "But we need someone on the inside. Someone they won't suspect." He looked at Elena. "You." Elena's heart skipped. "Me?" Em nodded. "You're a nurse, trusted. You have access. You can gather information." Elena swallowed. "This is bigger than I imagined." David reached for her hand. "We're all in this together now." That night, Elena returned to her apartment, the weight of the secret USB drive heavy in her pocket. She stared at the city skyline, lights twinkling like stars. Could she really risk everything? The line between right and wrong blurred, between ally and enemy. She took a deep breath. This was no longer just a call at 3 a.m. This was a war, a battle for truth, for survival, for the little girl who had no one else. Nurse answers. 3 a.m. call by mistake. Single. Dad's door changes. Everything. Elena sat alone in her dim apartment, the glow from the city lights filtering through the window. The USB drive lay on the table in front of her, a small black rectangle that held a mountain of danger and truth. Her fingers hovered over it, trembling. She thought about Maya sleeping safely now, thanks to David and Em's help. But how long could that safety last? Her phone buzzed softly, a message from David. "We need a plan tonight." Elena took a deep breath and grabbed the USB drive. The room felt colder, heavier. This was no longer just a nurse's call or a guardian's fight. It was her fight now, too. Later that night, Elena met David and Em at a quiet cafe on the edge of town. The air was thick with tension. Their eyes darted to every shadow, every passerby. David leaned forward, voice low. "We have to get this evidence into the hands of someone who can take down the family and protect Maya." Em nodded. "The problem is their influence spreads through every agency, police, courts, even media. We need an outsider." Eleanor's heart pounded. "Who?" Em's gaze sharpened. "A journalist. Someone fearless. Someone who's willing to risk everything." David pulled out a small photo from his wallet. Lena Crow, investigative reporter, known for exposing corruption. Elena scanned the face. Confident eyes, sharp features, a woman who looked like she never backed down. Em sighed. "But Lena's hard to reach. She's off the grid these days." David clenched his fists. "We have to find her. If we don't, Maya will be taken, maybe forever." The next day, Elena returned to the hospital under the guise of a normal shift. But inside, she was anything but normal. She slipped the USB drive into her bag, heart racing. Her mind spun with possibilities and dangers. What if someone searched her, found the evidence? She had to be careful. In the nurse's station, Eleanor noticed something odd. A man in a tailored suit was watching her. He wasn't hospital staff. Her stomach tightened. She ducked into a supply room and checked her phone. No messages, but her instinct screamed. She was being followed. Elena left the hospital early, taking a convoluted route home. Her phone buzzed. Again, a text from an unknown number. "Stop digging or you'll regret it." Elena's breath hitched. She glanced around. The city seemed colder, darker. That evening, Eleanor met David and Em again at a safe house hidden deep in the suburbs. David's face was grim. "They sent someone after you," he said. "We need to move fast." Em pulled out a burner phone. "I found a way to contact Lena, but we have to be cautious." Elena nodded. "I want to do this for Maya." David squeezed her shoulder. "You're stronger than you think." Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from outside. Everyone froze. David grabbed a flashlight and crept to the window. Two men in black suits were parked nearby, scanning the house. "They're back," David whispered. Elena's heart pounded. Em handed David a small pistol, just in case. That night, Elena lay awake, the weight of the fight crushing her. She thought about Maya, so innocent, so small. She thought about David's desperate love and Em's fierce loyalty, and the dark family trying. To destroy them all. Her phone buzzed again, a message from Lena Crow. "I'm listening. Tell me everything." Elena's fingers trembled as she typed back, "It all started with a wrong call at 3 a.m. The battle was only beginning, and Elena knew one thing for sure. She would never let Maya down. Nurse answers. 3 a.m. Call by mistake, single. Dad's door changes everything. Elena stared at her phone, the glow casting shadows on her tired face. Lena Crow's messages were like lifelines thrown into a stormy sea. The journalist was finally listening, but the stakes were higher than ever. She typed quickly, recounting everything. David's fight, Maya's fragile health, the corrupt. "Family, the threats, I'm coming," Lena replied. The next morning, Elena met David and Em at the cafe again. The safe house was compromised. They needed to act. David's hands trembled as he cradled his coffee. "I can't lose her. Not now." Elena nodded. "We won't, but we have to be smart." Em's phone buzzed. It was Lena. She was in town. Elena's heart leaped. Lena arrived at the cafe late afternoon. She was everything Elena expected, strong, sharp, and unyielding. "You must be Elena," Lena said, shaking her hand firmly. "And you're the woman who's been fighting in the shadows." Elena smiled faintly. Lena's eyes flicked to the USB in Elena's bag. "Let's see what they're hiding." Back at the safe house, Lena plugged the USB into her laptop. Files, photos, audio recordings, evidence of bribery, threats, falsified. Documents the family's empire was built on lies and cruelty. Elena's eyes watered. This could bring them down. But the victory was short-lived. Suddenly the power went out. The room plunged into darkness. David reached for his pistol. Footsteps approached. The door shook. "Police!" a voice called. But Elena's gut told her something was wrong. Before they could react, the door burst open. Masked men stormed in. A fierce fight erupted. Elena ducked behind a table. Heart pounding, she saw Em tackle one attacker. David fired warning shots. Chaos consumed the room. In the chaos, Elena grabbed the USB and ran out. She sprinted into the night, the city's streets twisting like a maze. Her phone rang. Lena's voice, urgent. "Get to the pier, now!" Elena didn't hesitate. At the pier, a boat waited. Lena and Em were already there. David appeared moments later, breathless but determined. "We have to get this story out." As the boat cut through the dark water, Elena looked back at the city, lights fading behind them. Her heart ached for Maya, for David, for the fight ahead. But just as hope sparked, Eleanor's phone buzzed again. A new message. "You're closer than you think. Watch your back." Nurse answers. 3 a.m. call by mistake. Single dad's door changes everything. The boat rocked gently under the moonlight, cutting silently through the dark waters of the bay. Elena wrapped Maya in a soft blanket, the baby's tiny fingers curling around her own. For the first time in days, Eleanor allowed herself a small breath of hope. David stood near the helm, his jaw clenched, eyes scanning the horizon. Lena sat beside Elena, typing furiously on her laptop, preparing the explosive report that would finally expose the corrupt family who had tried to destroy them all. But beneath the fragile calm, danger still lurked. The final threat. Suddenly, the boat's engine sputtered and slowed. David's face tightened. "What now?" He ran to the engine compartment, hands working quickly to restart it. "Someone's trying to sabotage us." Elena's heart raced as she glanced toward the shore. A shadow moved near the docks. David cursed and finally got the engine humming again. "We need to get to the safe house, fast." The truth unfolds. Back at the hideout, Lena began piecing together the final pieces of the puzzle. "Here," she said, pointing at a photo on her screen. It was a family gathering, but one man's face was circled, a man nobody had mentioned before. "Who is he?" David's eyes darkened. "My brother," Elena frowned. "He was never in the story." David's voice broke. "He was the real traitor. He worked for them, our enemies." Lena nodded slowly. This explains why you were always one step behind. Confrontation. David's phone buzzed. A message from his brother. Give up the fight or you lose everything. David's hands shook as he read. Not a chance. The phone rang. A video call. The brother appeared on screen, smirking. You're outmatched, David. Let the family win, David stared back. Family isn't about blood, it's about loyalty. The showdown. Suddenly, the hideout's door burst open. Armed men flooded the room. David and Elena moved quickly, grabbing Maya. Lena shouted, I'm sending the files live. The world will see the truth. David fired warning shots, buying time. Elena's heart pounded as she hugged Maya tightly. The attackers closed in. Then sirens. Police flooded in, surrounding the attackers. Justice served. Lena's live broadcast had triggered a massive response. Authorities loyal to the corrupt family were exposed and arrested. David's brother was taken into custody, his lies unraveling in the public eye. Maya was finally safe. Elena looked at David, tears in her eyes. We did it. David smiled softly. No one can take her from us now. Healing and hope. Weeks later, Elena visited Maya at the hospital, now stable and healthy. David was there, holding Maya's tiny hand. Elena smiled, feeling a warmth she hadn't known in months. They were no longer victims. They were survivors. Stronger together. The lesson nurse. Elena packed her nurse's bag one morning. Her phone buzzed. A message from Lena. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find who you really are. Elena stared at the words, understanding. She had lost her normal life. She had lost her peace. But in that loss, she had found strength, love, and truth. She was no longer just a nurse who answered a wrong call. She was a woman who fought for what mattered, for family, for justice, for hope. The end.